Hi everyone, I want to take this time out to show you all my fireball build. Now when I was doing research on the fireball builds and as I was experimenting with things, I found that one of the biggest issues with the fireball build was the the limited mana, and I think I've solved that problem. So I want to show you how I've done it. So first off, I want to start off with the skill tree. What I've done with the skill tree, I've put 2 points in the fireball bolt. That's not going to matter because I'm just trying to make it down here to fireball. So I've done fireball increases radius, and I've also did a destructive fireball, which is going to give me the 20% increase and 30% if it hits three crit damage. I also put points into frozen orbs, and then enhanced frozen orbs for above 50 mana, just to get to the explosion. The explosion has a 30% chance to make all enemies hit vulnerable for 2 seconds, greater frozen orb. I've also put points into devastation, 3 points there, and I put points into elemental dominance. Now these two are experimental. You can move these around. I don't think this is necessary. I'm just experimenting with these. Also, I put points into chain lightning, and then I put points into enhanced chain lightning, and I put points into devastative chain lightning to create the the crackling energy, 30% chance to form crackling energy. The reason why I put points into this and to frozen orbs is because I'm going to put both of these into my enchantment, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. I put points into flame shield, and then the next part with the movement speed, and also shimmering flame, which is going to be that 50% missing life. Next, I put points in the teleport, enhanced teleport, and shimmering teleport to give me that 30% damage reduction after I use it. I did not put any points in the frost nova like most builds. I didn't find it very useful for this one, but you may be able to interchange this with some things, but no points in the frost nova. I put points into precision magic, 2 points. You can also move this around. This is experimental. I put points into ice blades, which I think I should put more points into, and I'll explain why. Enhanced ice blades for the 0.5 increase every time it hits an enemy that's vulnerable. And then I put 20% into the cooldown reduction applied to other skills, which I'm thinking about moving that into invoked ice blades to make it move a little faster, because this only comes down to a 0.1 second decrease on your skills, which is kind of silly, and they probably need to buff this to like 50%, maybe even 100%, but I think I'm going to move this around. Also, I put points into lightning sphere. Next one is going to be after critical strike in the enemy, 5% increase stacks critical chance for that duration. And then lightning spear stuns enemies for 2 seconds, which is what I usually start off with when I go into a pack of enemies. I'll throw this, get them stunned, and then just do the fireball and just decimate them. And now what I was saying earlier about this ice blades is so underrated. It is using this for a single target is amazing. If you haven't tried ice blades on a single target, do it, especially the enchantment where it makes, every time you use a cooldown, 33 seconds worth of cooldown, this guy pops out. So when you pop like an ultimate, 2 of them pop out, then you can cast one, the 3rd one pops out. If you dash and then do something else, the 4th one pops out, and it just totally destroys enemies, especially elites. Oh my goodness. And it's making them vulnerable the whole time, because every time this thing hits, it has a chance to make things vulnerable. So you're just getting constant vulnerable uptime with this guy. So, all right. But anyway, next, a mana shield. I'm sorry, not starting to align the elements just to get to mana shield. That's going to give me 21% damage reduction every time I use 100 mana, which is almost every time. And then using the cooldown grants you barrier, which I'm most of the time using the cooldown anyway. This is a must for most sorceress builds. So I put 3 points in each of those. I put points into while you have a barrier active. This is cold front. While you have a barrier active, you have a 16% chance to chill. I put 2 points in that. Now, honestly, this is also experimental, but I find this to be very useful, honestly. So I might even put another point in here and take it out of something else. Maybe this luck up here, this precision magic. I don't know. But also now going down here, why this works. Static discharge. Just putting points into that just to get down to the invigorating conduit, which is upon absorbing crackling energy, you gain 12 mana. Now this is why I put chain lightning into my enchantment. So every time I cast fireballs, once I get to 83 mana, chain lightning comes out. So when chain lightning comes out, it's going to produce crackling energy, which is going to get me more mana, which allows me to cast more fireballs, which is amazing. So the next thing I did was first I did permafrost. And frost deals 15% increased damage to elites. I put 1 point. I have 2 from equipment. Hard frost, you deal 9% increased damage to chilled enemies. And then this last one, Icy Touch, 12% increased cool damage to vulnerable enemies. I might experiment with these a little bit too, but so far it's working for me. Also, I put points into Inferno. And the next one is Prime Inferno. Repeatedly pull enemies to the center. And then here I can cast my Fireball, which is Supreme Inferno, as much as I want, as long as Inferno is up. Now, here's the thing. I actually think I want to experiment with Unstable Currents, even though it has a 20-second longer cooldown, which is insane. But the thing is that while I'm casting this, it's going to create all of the electric skills, including Chain Lightning. Now, while it's producing Chain Lightning, the Chain Lightning is going to be creating crackling energy, which means I'm probably going to be able to have unlimited mana while this is going on, and then also after it's done, unlike this where once this is done, it's done, where here after it's done, I still have some crackling energy I can grab, and I can still have that mana pool going. Also with this, even though it is a 62 second cooldown, if you get this down here, actually no, it only works if you have overflowing energy. So no, so yeah, you'll have the full 62 second cooldown. So that's a risk, but I don't know. I want to give it a try. Also, Unstable Currents is a lot more powerful to me than Inferno. So the next one I'm going down here is Asus Ferocity, and that's what I'm going to use. The main thing I'm looking for is the crit strike that kills your enemy, hits a boss, grants you both bonuses. So both bonuses is you get a 25% increase for enemies above 50% life, and then you get the crit chance for enemies that are below 50%, which is really nice there. So next, let me show you why this works. Go to my equipment, and I will go to the first where you gain the armor for 4 seconds when you deal damage from, and it stacks, it looks like. So this goes all the way up to a 30% armor increase. Most people have this in their build. It's a must. I put it on my helmet. And then I have the Raiment of the Infinite. When you teleport, you pull enemies in and you stun them for 2.1 seconds. Also a must, well, maybe not a must, but it does work very well for me. Also I have Gloves of the Illuminator, which is the thing that makes the fireball bounce. Now, the thing is that the bounce is going to be 43% less damage than you would normally do. I would love to get the 35% version of this, but this is going to do 43% less damage. Now, what I found is that this is not very good for face tanking, like right in their face. So if you're in the face of the enemy, that only thing that's going to hit them is that first bounce. That second and third bounce, or the the subsequent bounces aren't going to hit the enemy. So I found that it's best to stay like 2, maybe 3 enemies away from whatever you're dealing with, just so you can get, a good couple bounces hitting your target. So yeah, being right in their face isn't really the best way to use this. So the next thing here is I got the Asus Harlem, I think is how you pronounce it. It's the crit strike chance increases by 30% of your movement speed bonus. Now, here's the thing. I found that this actually works as you're moving. So right now I have 18% movement speed. So yeah, it scales with that. But also, if I dash, if I have something that says increases your movement speed by 15% after killing an elite for 4 seconds. For those 4 seconds, my movement speed is faster, so that means my crit chance is higher. I found that that's how this works. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it does seem to work that way. All right, the next thing I have is the Asus Ferocity, which is for while both passes from the Asus Ferocity key passive are active, your attack speed is increased by 49%, which is always increased. Now, what I found is that I don't really know how long this actually lasts when this happens. It'd be nice to know, but it seems like it's always for me. But I have to experiment with this, but it seems like I'm always at 49% attack speed. Now with this, I have the next of the 3 curses. What I did here is I put the and fireball. You get the 60% bonus, crit bonus, and it doubles when you're healthy. So I'm always trying to stay healthy. And so that means I got 120% multiplicative crit damage with my fireball, which is huge. Also, I decided to put, now the rings is where it gets interesting because I've experimented with some things and I'm not even really sure if I'm sold on it completely. I've been switching them around. Let me show you what I've done. For first, I'm doing the Ring of Concentration. Your mana regenerates is increased by 42% if you haven't taken damage for at least 2 seconds. Now, what I found is that the counter on this is more like 1 second. Unlike most of the ones that have some sort of counter attached to them where it's a little bit of a delay, this doesn't seem to have that delay. I don't know if they fixed it or what, but it seems more like 1 second to me. And what this allows me to do is to go in, do some damage, and then run away and let my mana generate, go back in and do some damage. So this works well with like bosses, especially if I can move around. Now, of course, you can't get damage in order for this to proc, but usually I'm pretty good with that. And the next one I'm doing here is a 3% restores not 3%, but it restores 3 of your primary resources when crowd controlling an enemy. Now, the question is always, can you do this continuously? No. It only works on an enemy that is not currently crowd controlled. So if you crowd control an enemy, you get the 3, and then it comes out of crowd control, you can crowd control them again, you get another 3. But if they're already crowd control and you try to, put another crowd control element on them, it won't work. You're not going to get that 3. So that works very well because I'm always crowd controlling with the ice orb and with stunning people with electric. So I'm always doing some sort of crowd control. Now here's where things get interesting. I've experimented with this recharging band because I have chain lightning as my enchantment. What I've done is that every time chain lightning comes out, I'll use this, and this will proc, and then I'll get 3 mana back. Now, the only thing is that I have to spend 89 just for the chain lightning to come out. However, for some odd reason, I found it to be very useful. And I really don't understand it, and that's why I keep putting it on and off and switching back and forth between these 3 to see what works the best. But I also have another ring. Let's see if I can find it. That I did not find very useful, so I'm trying to get people to stay away from it here. So it was two, is Mother's Embrace. And this lucky hit, here we go. So damaging an enemy, damaging from your piracy skills has a 17% chance to restore 10 mana. This didn't work very well for me. I don't know if it works very well for you, but no, I'm lying. It was very hard to tell if it was working. But I experimented with this, and I also experimented with Mother's Embrace. I didn't find Mother's Embrace as useful as it should have been, and that's probably because I got the lowest roll, which is the 20%. If I had the 40%, it might be better. So my guess is if you want to experiment, honestly, you can experiment with actually these four. So if you don't have the Ring of Concentration or Loop of the Emerald, you can also use Recharging Bands and Incendiary Band. Like between these four, if you have any of these four, just use two of these. And honestly, I somewhat got the same result, but this was the best for situational, the Ring of Concentration, because what I found with bosses is that sometimes Chain Lightning would not produce the crackling energy, and so I had to run away and wait till it built back up or something like that. So this was very useful in situations where I was dealing with bosses and stuff like that. The last thing I have is you deal more, 25% more from immobilized, stun, and frozen enemies, which is something that's always in my build. And so that is my build there. I won't go through the Paragon board, but what I would suggest is that what I focused on the Paragon board is anything that's less situational and less direct with a specific ability or element. So in other words, I stayed away from burning or electricity or anything like that. So I've dealt with things, I put things on my board where I could switch this up at any time and make an electric build, a fire build, an ice build, and my board will automatically, work well with those things. So that's what I would suggest to you. So you get, I will go into my board for 2 seconds. So here, like right here, I got control. Actually, that does have a chill, frozen, stun, but those are multiple elements, which everything that you could put on will do something like this. It will chill, it may stun, it may slow. So that's why I put this on the first glyph. I went up here, got the second board. The second board I'm using is Enchantment Master. And the reason why I did that is so I could reduce my enchantment. So that's why it's only 83 mana that I have to spend to do the Chain Lightning in order for the Chain Lightning to come out. And here I've also done the Elementalist, because obviously I'm doing firebolt damage. I'm doing fire damage, I'm doing lightning damage, and I'm doing ice damage all at the same time. So that helps me out tremendously. Now here I'm doing destruction. Destruction is going to give me that extra crit damage. And like I said, this is universal, so this will work with any build if you put this in your board, so it's almost a must. Next one I'm doing here is a vulnerable damage. That's going to be exploit. And the last one I haven't made it to, But as far as the boards, I don't know if the boards matter as much, but I'll go through the boards. Of course, this is the first board. The second board, I'm doing Enchantment Master. The third board, I'm doing Frigid Fate, which I'm not even using. I just did it because it had, the most, yeah, the most dexterity that I'm going to end up putting in here at some point. And then this board here, I'm using Static Surge. And with this board, I picked Elemental Summoner because I don't really care about the legendary nodes. I'm just trying to get to the glyph sockets and just use those. But anyway, that's my build. Hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you soon.